Are you looking for an edge, flexible income, and immediate professional respect? Discover the hidden opportunity of becoming a public official with the book, Becoming a Notary by Derrick Spruill. This beginner's guide provides the universal roadmap to launch your new career. You will learn the core mission of deterring fraud, the essential tools of the trade, and exactly how to protect yourself while building a respected business. Get your copy of Becoming a Notary on Amazon, and step into a rewarding profession.
It is 4:30 p.m. on the 31st day of the month.
Oh boy.
Yeah, exactly. You are sitting in just absolute gridlock traffic on the interstate. A lender just called to tell you they changed the loan amount on a 150-page document package.
Right at the buzzer.
Right. A package that you are supposed to be getting signed literally right now. If you do not get this completely new package printed, signed, flawlessly notarized, and, scanned back by 5:00 p.m.
It's game over.
It is. A family is going to lose their locked-in interest rate, and someone somewhere is going to get hit with thousands of dollars in financial penalties. So welcome to the end-of-month crucible. Welcome to Notary Knowledge. Eddie and Marylyn here.
It's really fantastic to be here today, especially when we are tackling a scenario that genuinely gives people in this industry actual nightmares.
We've spent a lot of time in our previous discussions talking about the general ebb and flow of this business.
Right, the baseline stuff.
Exactly, the day-to-day operations of running a mobile office. But today, we are just completely shifting gears. Today is about mastering the absolute chaos that is the final week of the calendar month in real estate.
Because it really is, a completely different beast.
It is. We are talking about defusing the ticking clock, specifically managing these last-minute end-of-month or EOM signings.
The rules, the pace, the margin for error that govern those first 3 weeks of the month, they just simply do not apply to the final 5 days.
No, they don't. And we know you, the listener, whether you are sitting in your car right now waiting for your next appointment or you're prepping your document packages for a massive closing, you know this feeling intimately.
Oh, they definitely do.
So this is the survival guide you need to navigate it. But before we get into the heavy logistics, the technology, the psychology of the table, I want to strongly encourage you to elevate your game even further.
Always a good idea.
Right, by purchasing the Notary Knowledge books by Derrick Spruill and visiting the Notary Knowledge website. The resources there are designed precisely for you, the high-level, experienced professional looking to optimize your workflow.
And optimization is truly the only way to survive the end-of-month pressure cooker.
Yeah.
I mean, it's non-negotiable.
Yeah. So to effectively navigate it, we first have to dissect exactly why this chaos exists in the first place, right?
It's not a random occurrence.
No, it's not like the entire mortgage industry just wakes up on the 26th of the month and collectively decides to panic. Walk me through the mechanics of this. Why is everything compressed into this tiny 5-day window?
Well, the chaos is driven by two main systemic factors. The first is pure mathematics on the consumer side.
Okay.
Yeah, borrowers are highly motivated to minimize their prepaid interest charges.
Right, the per diem.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
When you close on a loan, you have to pay the interest that accrues from the day of closing to the end of that current month. So if you close on a $500,000 loan on the first of the month,
you are paying 30 days of interest right there at the table.
Yes. 30 days of per diem interest. That is a massive chunk of cash out of pocket for the buyer.
Ah, I see. So if they push the closing to, say, the 30th or the 31st, they're only paying 1 or 2 days of that per diem interest.
Precisely. They drastically reduce the amount of cash they have to bring to the table. It is a calculated financial move to keep their out-of-pocket costs as low as possible.
Makes total sense.
But then you take that financial incentive and collide it with the logistical reality of human behavior.
Meaning moving day.
Right. People are physically moving houses. Yeah. They want to align their closings with weekend residential moves to avoid, missing work or pulling their kids out of school midweek.
So when the financial incentive of late-month closings aligns with the late-month weekend,
you get a massive, compressed operational window. Thousands of transactions are trying to squeeze through the exact same door at the exact same time.
And the stakes during that compressed window are just astronomically high. There is absolute zero tolerance for errors. I mean, I mentioned the 5:00 p.m. funding deadline in the intro.
A terrifying 5:00 p.m. deadline?
Yeah, explain the mechanics of that. Why is 5:00 p.m. the magic hour?
Because that is when the Federal Reserve's wire transfer system effectively shuts down for the business day.
Wow. Okay.
If a title company does not have perfectly executed, error-free documents scanned back to them in time to review them and authorize the release of funds before that cutoff.
The money physically cannot move.
Exactly. The loan does not fund.
And if the loan doesn't fund, the domino effect is catastrophic, right?
Right.
Like if you miss that wire transfer cutoff because of a single administrative oversight. Yeah. Let's say a missed initial on page 42 or a smudged notary stamp or a missing date next to a signature. What actually happens to the borrower?
Well, it can trigger an interest rate lock expiration. Lenders only guarantee a specific interest rate for a certain number of days.
Oh, wow.
If that lock expires because the closing was delayed and current market rates have gone up, the borrower is now stuck with a higher monthly payment for the next 30 years.
That is the ultimate nightmare scenario.
It really is. And those expirations incur massive financial penalties for the settlement agents, the lenders, and the consumers. Nobody is happy.
And you better believe the blame rolls downhill directly onto the signing agent who was sitting at the table. You become the scapegoat immediately.
Oh, 100%.
And to make matters worse, according to our sources, you have the notorious December borrower. What is it about December that makes people just lose their minds?
Well, December borrowers are in a league of their own when it comes to being fickle. It's largely due to end-of-year tax implications and holiday stress.
Right, the holidays just add so much pressure.
They do. They're trying to squeeze complex financial moves into the final days of the fiscal year. The source material highlights how often they change their minds at the absolute last second.
It's staggering. I was reading that they will switch from a standard purchase to a delayed purchase right at the finish line.
Yep. Or they will randomly decide to add a spouse as a co-borrower or remove a co-borrower entirely.
Or they change their down payment amounts because they just bought a bunch of Christmas presents.
Exactly. They request last-minute cash-out options. They will even switch from a full doc loan, where they prove their income with W-2s, to a bank statement loan, which is an entirely different underwriting process for self-employed folks.
And when a borrower requests those changes, the lender doesn't just say no, right?
Usually not. They try to accommodate the change to save the deal, which means they have to redraw the entire document package, throwing the notary's timeline into total disarray.
Which brings us to a massive logistical problem for the solo agent. You are in the middle of this chaos, you are managing these last-minute reworks, and you are physically sitting at a signing table with a borrower.
Right.
How on earth do you handle incoming calls for new assignments? This is the dreaded during signing coverage problem.
It is the ultimate bottleneck. You simply cannot effectively do both.
But wait, why not? I mean, we all have Bluetooth headsets. Can't I just mute the borrower for a second, take the call from the title company, lock in my fee, and get right back to the signing? It takes 30 seconds.
Attempting to do so completely destroys the professional authority you need to maintain at the table.
Really?
Think about it. You are asking someone to sign their name to $500,000 of debt. If you are negotiating a fee with a title company for your next appointment while they are trying to read a promissory note, you look incredibly unprofessional.
I guess that's true. It's disrespectful to the gravity of the moment.
Exactly. Furthermore, you will make a mistake. Your attention is divided, and divided attention is exactly how you miss a signature that costs someone their rate lock.
So if I can't answer the phone, I'm losing money. Historically, agents relied on traditional answering services to solve this, right? You just forward your calls to a call center.
They did, but the cost analysis of traditional answering services is deeply flawed for this specific industry.
How so?
Well, traditional services operate on scheduled blocks. They require advance notice to schedule coverage, often with strict minimum hours.
Which makes no sense because the EOM rush is inherently unpredictable. You don't know when the floodgates are going to open.
Exactly. And furthermore, during peak signing time, specifically the end of the month, these traditional call centers often charge 1.5 to 2 times their normal rates for scheduled coverage blocks.
So they literally penalize you for being busy exactly when the industry demands that you be busy. That's a terrible business model for the agent.
It really is.
Okay.
And even if you pay the premium, how good are they at actually booking the appointment?
Probably not great.
They fail completely at location routing. A traditional answering service agent sitting in a cubicle 3 states away cannot handle the complexity of coordinating multiple mobile signing locations.
Right, they don't know the local traffic.
Exactly. They do not know your city's traffic patterns.
Yeah.
They cannot calculate drive times in real time, and they cannot quickly adjust your calendar for last-minute cancellations.
So what is the modern solution to this? If I can't answer the phone and call centers are a ripoff, how do I capture that incoming EOM revenue? The sources point heavily toward AI receptionists. We are talking about platforms like AgentZap. Explain the mechanics of this to me.
The technological shift here is profound. Think of an AI receptionist as an automated air traffic controller for your business.
Okay, I like that analogy.
It provides consistent, always-on coverage without any of those premium EOM surge charges. But the real magic is the integration. It connects directly to your digital calendar.
So when a title company calls, they speak to an AI that sounds human, and the AI actually knows where I am.
Precisely. The AI can intelligently schedule appointments based on your current location, the duration of your existing appointments, and your predefined service areas.
Wait, really? It does all that math on the fly?
Yes. If someone wants to book you for 2:00 p.m. on the far west side of town, but the AI sees you have a 1:00 p.m. appointment on the far east side, it mathematically calculates the drive time.
Oh.
And it tells the caller, I'm sorry, our agent cannot accommodate a 2:00 p.m., but they are available at 3:15 p.m.
That is incredible. It handles the negotiation and the geographic math instantly while you are sitting at the table focused entirely on the borrower.
It eliminates the manual bottleneck completely.
And that concept of automation ties perfectly into how we source the work itself. I want to talk about shifting away from the old school model of chasing title companies. Driving around in a hot suit, dropping off a box of business cards, and just praying the phone rings.
The industry has evolved way past that.
Right.
It has moved heavily toward platform matching.
Mm.
Platforms like Notary every day automate the acquisition of assignments.
So you aren't cold calling?
No. The platform's algorithm identifies you as a qualified agent in a specific geographic radius, matches your credentials to the lender's requirements, and sends the opportunity directly to your device.
It's operating in the background, allowing you to focus on the actual revenue-generating activity, which is performing the signings.
Exactly. But to utilize these platforms effectively, you can't just be flying by the seat of your pants. Your back-end infrastructure has to be rock solid.
Yes. The sources mandate integrating dedicated CRM's customer relationship management software like Hello Growth CRM into your daily workflow.
Moving away from messy, manual Excel spreadsheets is absolutely non-negotiable at a high level. A dedicated CRM acts as the central nervous system of your business.
Explain the visual aspect of this. I was reading about Kanban pipelines. What is a Kanban pipeline, and why is it better than a spreadsheet for tracking EOM documents?
Well, a Kanban pipeline is a highly visual workflow management tool. Picture a digital board with vertical columns.
Okay, got it.
The columns might be labeled appointment scheduled, documents received, printing, signing complete, scanned back, and invoiced. Each signing is a digital card.
Right.
As the status of the signing changes, you literally drag and drop the card from one column to the next.
So at a single glance, I can see exactly where every single file is in the process. Nothing slips through the cracks.
Exactly. If it's 4:00 p.m. and you see 3 cards stuck in the signing complete column but not in the scan back column, you instantly know you have an emergency.
That visual clarity is huge.
It is. Furthermore, these CRMs automate the administrative heavy lifting. They can automatically generate and email your invoices the moment you move a card to the Done column.
Nice.
They integrate with payment processors like Stripe, so title companies can pay you instantly via credit card, drastically reducing your account's receivable turnaround time.
And they feature online schedulers like Calendly or Notary Central. Now, I want to highlight a specific feature of these schedulers that the sources emphasize: travel radius restrictions. Walk me through the mechanics of this, because I think a lot of agents get this wrong.
Oh, they absolutely do. Many agents leave their calendars wide open, desperate for any work. But an online scheduler allows you to draw a digital geographic fence around your operating area.
A digital fence?
Yes. You program the software to dictate exactly how far you're willing to drive. If a hiring agency attempts to book you for an address outside of that physical radius, the software simply prevents the booking.
It acts as an automated bouncer for your business.
Exactly.
It prevents you from accidentally accepting a low-paying assignment that requires a 45-minute drive, which would destroy your capacity to take 3 higher-paying assignments closer to home during that critical EOM window.
Which is absolutely vital when we start calculating the physical logistics of moving a human body through a major metropolitan city during the final days of the month.
Yeah, that math gets complicated fast.
Yeah.
And before we get into the heavy math of those physical logistics, the mobile office and territory optimization, I want to let you know about an incredible tool designed to keep all these high-speed EOM transactions perfectly legally compliant.
Oh, this is important.
It is. The One Ledger Notary Journal is available right now on the Apple App Store. It was meticulously crafted by the magnificent Workz team to completely streamline your record keeping.
This is a great tool.
Make sure you use the promo code NOTARYKNOW50, that is Notary, the letter KNOW50, to get 50% off the first-year annual plan. It is an absolute game changer for high-volume agents who need to move quickly but stay perfectly compliant.
Because having a digital, mathematically precise, compliant journal is a cornerstone of that high-level tech infrastructure.
It eliminates the fictional bottleneck of manual entry.
Right, it allows you to move faster. And moving fast brings us to the stark reality of the physical environment.
Yes, the car as the office. I want you, the listeners, to really internalize this metaphor. Your car is your office and the road is your commute.
That's the perfect way to look at it.
If you are sitting in stop-and-go traffic, you are essentially just wandering aimlessly down the hallways of your office not getting paid. Driving time is non-revenue generating time.
Which makes route optimization one of the single most critical technologies at your disposal. This isn't just about finding the fastest way to the grocery store.
No.
In this business, small 5-minute improvements in your routing compound into massive daily time savings.
Now look, we all use Google Maps or Waze on our phones to check for accidents or real-time traffic. But the sources are pointing to a much higher level strategy here. They are demanding dedicated multi-stop routing software.
Yes. We're talking about integrating Waze with platforms like Routific or Circuit.
Explain the difference between just using Apple Maps and using dedicated routing software.
Well, a standard GPS app takes you from point A to point B. But a high-volume agent during EOM might have 8, 10, or 12 appointments scattered across the city in a single day.
Right.
If you try to manually guess the best order to visit those locations, you will fail.
You'll just be backtracking all day.
Exactly. Dedicated routing software requires you to input all your appointments, the time windows for each, and the duration of each signing. The software's algorithm then analyzes millions of variables and generates the most mathematically efficient path to connect all those dots.
It solves the traveling salesman problem for you instantly. But the strategy the sources outline goes even deeper than just blindly following the blue line on an app, right?
It does. It requires proactive geographic discipline. You have to actively divide your week.
This is known as territory optimization. If you serve a large, sprawling metropolitan area, say Houston, Los Angeles, or Atlanta, you simply cannot afford to zigzag back and forth across the city in a single afternoon.
The most financially successful agents divide their week with militant discipline. For example, you dedicate Monday and Tuesday strictly to the north side of your territory. Wednesday and Thursday are exclusively for the south side.
Okay, I have to push back on this a little bit because I know what people are thinking.
Go for it.
If I strictly declare Tuesday as my north side day, and my best title client calls me on Tuesday morning and offers me a great $150 signing on the south side, you're telling me I have to turn it down. Isn't that just throwing money away?
It feels like throwing money away in the micro, but it is mathematically superior in the macro. Let's break down the math.
Okay, let's hear it.
If you break your territorial discipline and drive 45 minutes out of your way to the south side and 45 minutes back, you have just burned an hour and a half of non-revenue generating time for one $150 fee.
Right, that's an hour and a half gone?
In that same hour and a half, if you had stayed in your dense, defined north side territory, you could have easily completed 2, perhaps 3 signings right next to each other.
Oh, wow.
By chasing the $150 across town, you actually lost out on $300, $450 of local capacity. By building a dense, disciplined client base within a segmented territory, you drastically reduce your average drive times, which radically increases your daily volume.
The data in the source material actually backs this up perfectly. It suggests this kind of strict territorial planning can increase your daily appointment capacity by 20 to 30%.
That is a massive increase in baseline revenue just by being geographically stubborn.
And a huge part of that geographic discipline is knowing when not to drive. The sources explicitly state you have to actively avoid crossing gridlocked highways between 4:00 and 6:30 p.m.
It is an absolute mandate. You simply cannot schedule an appointment that requires you to sit on a jammed, multi-lane interstate during rush hour when you have a 5:00 p.m. funding deadline breathing down your neck. The risk of expiration is too high.
Okay, so you've optimized your territory, you've mathematically routed your day to avoid the 5:00 p.m. gridlock. You are incredibly efficient.
Right.
But all of that efficiency is instantly destroyed if you get to the borrower's driveway at 4:30 p.m. and the lender calls to say, hey, we just noticed an error on the closing disclosure. We need to send you a revised 50-page package.
That's a dreaded last-minute rework.
If you have to drive 20 miles back to your house to print that package, you miss the deadline anyway. How do we solve the physical printing problem on the road?
That requires an infrastructure that can handle rapid physical changes, which brings us to the hardware setup inside the vehicle. For the truly high-volume elite agent, the vehicle must function as a fully autonomous, heavy-duty printing and scanning hub.
Let's talk about the ultimate mobile office setup. If you are navigating those last-minute EOM reworks, you need hardware. The sources demand heavy-duty dual-tray laser printers and high-speed document scanners physically mounted and operating inside your vehicle.
Exactly. You need a dual-tray printer so it can seamlessly pull letter-sized paper from one tray and legal-sized paper from the other, exactly as the lender's PDF dictates, without you having to manually swap paper on the side of the road.
And you need a high-speed scanner so you can digitize and encrypt the signed documents right from the driver's seat and email them to the title company before the borrower even walks back into their house.
It's all about speed.
But here's where a lot of newer agents destroy their cars. I see people go to a gas station, buy a cheap $30 power inverter, plug it into their cigarette lighter, and hook up a massive Brother laser printer. Why is this a catastrophic mistake?
Because a laser printer is not like a laptop or a cell phone charger. To bond the toner to the paper, a laser printer uses a component called a fuser. That fuser has to heat up to roughly 400 degrees almost instantly.
400 degrees.
To achieve that heat, the printer draws a massive sudden surge of electrical wattage. If you try to pull that surge through a cheap inverter plugged into your vehicle's standard electrical system, it will blow the fuses.
Or worse.
Right. If you hardwire it directly to the battery without proper isolation, doing that repeatedly all day long will eventually overheat and destroy your vehicle's sensitive electrical system, burn out the alternators, and ruin the batteries.
So what is the solution? How do we power this mobile hub safely?
The solution outlined in the strategic frameworks is utilizing an isolated, high-capacity lithium power station.
Okay.
The sources specifically highlight models like the EcoFlow Delta 2. These are essentially massive, highly advanced battery banks with built-in pure sine wave inverters.
So they act completely independently of the car's engine.
Exactly. You charge the power station at home at night. During the day, it provides clean, reliable, high-wattage power to your hardware. It handles the massive power draw of the printer's fuser effortlessly, protecting your vehicle's electrical system entirely.
That is brilliant. This setup allows for a rapid, immediate response to those last-minute reworks and clean, fast turnarounds for scanning back funding critical documents.
It is the very definition of high-level preparedness. You are a mobile fortress.
And having that setup gives you incredible leverage when it comes to pricing your services. I want to analyze a major strategic debate that constantly comes up during the EOM rush. Accepting daily in-office flat rates versus implementing value-based itemized premium fees on the road.
Ah, yes. This is a critical financial crossroad for many agents. During peak volume windows, many title companies get desperate. They will try to lock down a reliable agent for the entire day.
Right.
They offer a flat rate package, typically ranging from $150 to $400 for the day, to just sit in their conference room and handle whatever random closings happen to walk through the front door.
Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate here because to a lot of people that sounds amazing. It sounds so tempting. It's guaranteed income. You aren't burning expensive gas driving all over town. You get to sit in an air-conditioned office. And if a bunch of closings get canceled or delayed, you still get your flat day rate. Why on earth would anyone say no to guaranteed easy money like that?
Because it is a massive strategic illusion, often referred to as the job trap. Yes, it provides stability, but it severely artificially caps your earning potential during the single most lucrative week of the month.
Break the math down for me. Why is it a trap?
Well, if you accept a $300 flat rate for an 8-hour day at a title office, you have sold your maximum capacity for exactly $300.
Right.
However, if you are highly organized, geographically optimized in your territory, and utilizing the mobile tech hub we just discussed, your capacity on the road is vastly higher.
Okay.
In that same 8-hour window, a high-level agent can easily execute 6, 8, or even 10 mobile signings.
And if they are charging premium EOM rates for those mobile signings, say $150 to $200 each, they are generating $1,200 to $1,600 a day. By taking the safe flat rate, they are literally losing over $1,000 a day in potential revenue.
Exactly. The alternative to the flat rate is shifting your entire business model to value-based fees. You don't just charge a standard base signing fee, you implement an itemized schedule of premium surcharges.
So you charge for the base service, plus a travel fee based on mileage, plus an emergency short notice surcharge if they call you within 2 hours of the signing, plus a peak hour surcharge if they demand you cross that gridlocked highway at 5 p.m.
Precisely.
But how do you get title companies to actually pay those itemized fees? Won't they just hang up and call someone cheaper?
Some will, but the smart ones won't. You justify those premium rates by presenting yourself not as a person who stamps paper, but as a risk mitigation expert.
I love that.
You remind them of the math we discussed earlier. If an interest rate lock expires because a cheaper, less reliable notary got stuck in traffic, couldn't print the revised documents, or missed a signature, it costs the lender and the title company thousands of dollars.
So paying you a $250 premium fee to guarantee the package is flawless and scanned back instantly is the cheapest insurance policy they can buy.
Exactly.
That framing is perfect. You are the insurance policy. You are the one diffusing the ticking clock for them, and that specific service commands a premium. But here is the catch. To command that premium fee, your execution at the table has to be flawless. You cannot make a mistake.
Not a single one.
Which brings us perfectly to the psychological mechanics of the signing itself. We have to talk about handling the extreme emotional stress of borrowers who are making life-altering financial commitments.
Oh, the environment inside a borrower's home or even inside a title office during an EOM closing is highly charged. It is electric. Escrow officers are stressed, racing against those wire cutoffs, and the borrowers are often completely overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of the debt they are about to take on.
It is palpable. You walk into a house and you can literally feel the anxiety in the air. People are sweating. So how does a high-level premium agent handle that environment?
The professional signing agent must serve as a calm, authoritative buffer to all of that anxiety, and that psychological control begins the literal second you walk through the door. You have to establish immediate environmental and psychological authority.
The sources outline a very specific protocol for this. Upon entry, you don't just walk in, wave casually, and say, "Hey guys, I'm the notary." You present a high-contrast, professional, hard plastic name badge. You immediately deliver a crisp, professional business card. Why is this specific physical action so important?
It relies on the psychological principle of the halo effect. It establishes absolute legitimacy and authority before you even open your mouth. It signals to the anxious borrower's brain, this person is an official, vetted professional. They are in charge of this process.
And your attire has to reinforce that nonverbal credibility. The standard mandated by the sources is strict business casual or professional attire. No jeans, no t-shirts, absolutely no sneakers.
Never sink.
You are facilitating a massive $500,000 financial transaction. Your appearance must reflect the gravity and the dignity of the event.
Once you've established your presence visually, you have to physically control the environment where the signing will take place. This is a common error. Many agents just sit on a soft living room couch with a glass coffee table simply because that's where the borrower pointed.
Yeah, you cannot execute a flawless 150-page package on your lap while sinking into a sofa. So what is the protocol?
You actively ask for a large, flat, well-lit surface. You politely suggest the kitchen island or a formal dining table. Furthermore, you politely request that pets be moved to a separate room or placed outside.
And this isn't because you dislike animals, right?
Right. It is to eliminate unpredictable, chaotic distractions that pull focus from the documents.
Exactly. If a dog jumps on the table and spills water on the deed of trust, the closing is over. The physical handling of the documents themselves is equally important. Explain the psychology behind how we present the paper to the borrower.
Well, you never hand a borrower a massive 3-inch thick stack of paper and say, "Here you go, start signing." To an anxious person, that visual mass of legal jargon causes immediate cognitive overload. They freeze.
So what do you do instead?
Instead, you physically control the stack on your side of the table. You hand feed the documents to the signer, page by page.
So you are controlling the pace.
Yes. It breaks a massive, intimidating task into single, manageable micro-actions. It prevents them from becoming visually and psychologically overwhelmed.
And as a premium touch, you always supply the professional, high-quality blue ink pens. You don't ask them to find a pen in their junk drawer. I also love the emphasis the the source's place on adaptability here. Sometimes, despite your absolute best efforts, the location is a disaster. You show up and the house is packed floor to ceiling with boxes because they are moving in the morning. There is no table. There is no lighting. You have to be ready to pivot instantly.
True professionals do not complain about the environment. They adapt to it.
Exactly. The sources suggest always carrying flat, empty FedEx cardboard envelopes or a thick, heavy-duty legal clipboard in your car. If you have to execute the signing standing up, leaning on the hood of your car in the driveway, you do it, and you do it with total confidence.
It is about maintaining forward momentum. Using an authoritative, reassuring tone, you briefly outline the entire process from start to finish before a single signature happens. You manage their expectations immediately, so there are no surprises and no sudden anxiety spikes.
But what about the talkative signer? You know exactly who I'm talking about. They're lovely people, they mean well, they want to be hospitable, but they want to tell you the entire 20-year history of the neighborhood, and meanwhile, that 5:00 p.m. FedEx drop-off cutoff is creeping closer and closer.
Chatty signers are actually a massive professional liability during an EOM rush. Friendly conversation seems harmless, but distractions are the primary cause of missed initials, skipped signatures, and mathematical date errors.
It is so incredibly easy to accidentally write yesterday's date on a draught because you were laughing at a joke about someone's antique spoon collection instead of focusing on the notarization block. So how do we handle them without being rude or ruining the customer service experience?
The protocol dictated by the sources is called polite non-response. You do not actively engage in the off-topic dialogue. You do not ask follow-up questions about the spoon collection. When the signer introduces a narrative thread, you acknowledge it briefly, and you immediately physically pivot back to the document.
The exact script provided from the source material is brilliant in its simplicity. Let's roleplay this. I'm the chatty signer. I say, oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe what the neighbor's dog did to my rose bushes yesterday.
You give a friendly nod, maintain eye contact for 1 second, and say, that is a fascinating story. To ensure we meet your lender's strict 5:00 p.m. funding cutoff today, let us review your first payment date right here on this next page. And you physically point your pen to the signature line.
That is a masterclass in table control. It is polite, it acknowledges their humanity, but it forcefully redirects their attention back to the task. And the genius part is that you are using the external pressure of the lender's deadline as the reason for the urgency. It removes you as the bad guy who is cutting them off. You were just trying to help them meet their deadline.
It protects the integrity of the document while preserving the relationship.
Incredible. Before we get into the sticky situations, the industry debates, the conflicting state laws, and how to navigate errors, I want to remind everyone to check out the video podcast No Notary with Eddie Montes Travis, as well as Marylyn's 90 Seconds of Notary. They are phenomenal, bite-sized resources to keep you sharp and ahead of the curve in this ever-changing industry.
Absolutely essential viewing for anyone serious about elevating their craft in this profession.
For sure. Now, if we connect this idea of strict table control to the broader picture of risk management, we have to address the procedural debates that constantly divide the industry.
Oh, the debates.
If you spend any time on the Notary Cafe forums or any Facebook group for signing agents, you know there are some deeply entrenched, aggressively defended opinions out there. Let's tackle the sticky label debate first. This is a hot one.
It is incredibly polarizing. You have two very distinct schools of thought regarding the use of colored blank flags or sticky notes to indicate exactly where a signer needs to sign or date a document.
Right. Let me present side A because I have to admit, I understand the appeal. Side A argues that colored blank flags are absolutely vital tools for a flawless signing.
Okay, let's hear it.
They point out that they are incredibly helpful for elderly signers or those who are visually impaired. You can instruct them so clearly, Mr. Signer, you sign on the orange tab. Mrs. Signer, you sign on the blue tab. It prevents that classic agonizing error of the husband accidentally signing on the wife's line, which ruins the page.
True.
They also argue it's great for low-light situations. And from an auditing perspective, it seems foolproof. If you flip through the package at the end and see a bright pink sticky note left on the page, you instantly know a signature was missed. What is wrong with that?
Well, Side B argues that you should never use sticky labels, period. Their argument revolves around professional optics and the danger of relying on crutches.
Okay, optic.
Yes, they believe that pre-flagging a 150-page document looks unprofessional, like a child's craft project. More importantly, they argue that relying on a brightly colored crutch means you aren't paying close enough attention to the actual text of the document itself.
Ah, I see. If the flag falls off in your bag, you miss the signature because you were only looking for colors, not signature lines.
Exactly. They argue that one error caused by a misplaced flag, putting the tab on the wrong line during your prep phase, can ruin a relationship with a title company and cost you future assignments.
It's a fierce debate. But regardless of where you stand on sticky tabs, what both sides absolutely agree on is the strict, unforgiving adherence to printing instructions. Whether a document requires letter-size paper or legal-size paper, you must follow the instructions provided by the lender, the title company, or the state exactly as requested.
You never ever deviate without explicit prior approval. If you decide to shrink a legal-size document down to letter size just to save paper, and a visually impaired signer complains to the title company about the tiny font size, it will cost you the client instantly.
Which brings us to an even more contentious issue, the backup copies conflict. This is where we see direct, aggressive contradiction within industry advice regarding digital document retention. And listener, we are going to report this strictly impartially because the advice out there is diametrically opposed and the legal consequences are severe.
It is a legal minefield.
It is. Let's look at viewpoint A first. Some very prominent industry sources and trainers recommend that agents use mobile apps like Adobe Scan or Cam Scanner to create clean PDF backups of signed documents before putting them in the FedEx envelope.
Right.
They suggest storing these backups on encrypted cloud drives like Dropbox or Google Drive. The logic here makes a lot of sense from a customer service standpoint. If a physical package is lost in transit by FedEx or UPS, which absolutely does happen, trucks catch on fire, planes get delayed, having a digital backup can instantly save the deal, protect your reputation, and prevent a massive crisis for the borrower.
It sounds pragmatic, but viewpoint B points out a direct, fundamental legal contradiction.
Which is
other authoritative sources state unequivocally that keeping or storing copies of a signer's personal signed financial documents is a strict violation of state notary law, regardless of the jurisdiction.
Wait, a violation of the law? Why?
Because of privacy. These documents contain social security numbers, bank account routing numbers, and massive amounts of non-public personal information. Viewpoint B argues it is a severe breach of the Notary Public and Notary Signing Agent Code of Ethics to maintain unauthorized possession of this data.
Oh, wow.
Their position is that you hold on to your notary confirmation for your payment records, but you have absolutely no lawful reason or right to hold on to the borrower's highly sensitive financial documents for weeks on end on your personal Google Drive.
The tension there is obvious. One side says it's a best practice for elite customer service and disaster recovery. The other side says it's a literal violation of state law and consumer privacy. As an independent agent, you are caught right in the middle.
Therefore, the only logical resolution, and we cannot stress this enough, is that you must rigorously verify your specific state laws and the explicit written policies of the hiring title company before you ever utilize digital document retention. Do not take general internet advice on this issue. Consult your state's commissioning authority.
Exactly. Protect yourself first. And honestly, the best way to protect yourself from needing a backup copy in the first place is to ensure the primary copy is mathematically flawless before it ever goes into the shipping envelope. This requires the triple check protocol.
The triple check protocol is non-negotiable for high-level agents. It is the final safety net. Before you leave that signing table, while the borrower is still sitting right in front of you, you audit everything.
Explain how to execute this audit effectively. Do you just quickly flip through the pages?
No, you execute a comprehensive, deliberate, page-by-page review. You are checking that every single document is signed in the correct color ink, which, unless specified otherwise, is almost universally blue ink to distinguish original signatures from photocopies.
You verify every single date. You check every signature against the printed name beneath the line. If their name is printed with their middle initial, did they sign with their middle initial? You pay massive, focused attention to high-risk documents, like the Notice of Right to Cancel.
That document in particular is notorious. You must ensure total compliance with Regulation Z.
Explain Regulation Z briefly, because that is a jargon term that trips people up. Why is it so volatile?
Regulation Z, part of the Truth in Lending Act, dictates that on certain types of loans, like primary residence refinances, the borrower has a federally mandated 3-day rescission period, a window where they can back out of the loan with no penalty.
Right.
The dates on that Notice of Right to Cancel document must be mathematically perfect, accounting for Sundays and federal holidays. If you calculate or write those dates incorrectly, the loan cannot fund. Or worse, the borrower's rescission window never legally closes, exposing the lender to massive liability for years.
And finally, during this audit, you ensure every single notarial certificate, every jurat, every acknowledgement is fully filled out, the venue is correct, it is properly stamped with clear ink, and signed by you. Catching an error at the table takes 2 minutes of slightly awkward silence while you review. Catching it after you've driven away means a costly second trip across town, a delayed funding timeline, and a permanently damaged reputation.
Is the defining difference between being a vendor and being a professional?
All right, this is the perfect transition into one of our favorite segments. It's time for Good Question. What would you do?
I always look forward to this segment. This is where we take the theoretical frameworks, the laws, and the psychology we've been discussing, and we apply them to the messy, real-world friction agents face every single day.
Exactly. We are analyzing real listener emails using the source materials guidelines for handling highly challenging signers. Let's dive right into scenario 1. We have a double feature here from Caleb in Tennessee and Mia in Oregon.
All right, let's hear it.
Caleb writes that he constantly runs into the reader, the signer who insists on reading every single line of a 150-page deed of trust before signing it. Mia writes about the conspiracy theorist, the signer who trusts absolutely no one, thinks the lender is actively trying to trick them with hidden clauses, and flat out refuses to sign the paperwork.
These are two fascinating variations of the exact same underlying psychological issue, a fundamental lack of trust in the process. To most signers, you are a complete stranger sitting in their living room facilitating a massive, terrifying debt. It is entirely natural for them to be wary.
So how do we solve it? How do you get them to sign without violating the timeline? The guidelines say the very first step is mental. Do not take it personally.
That is the foundation. Whether they are reading every line in agonizing silence or showing downright hostility and suspicion, your emotional response must remain rooted in positivity, directness, and total politeness.
Right.
You earn their confidence not by becoming their best friend or arguing with them, but by exhibiting absolute professionalism and a calm knowledge of the document flow.
Right. Your job isn't to win their lifelong trust. It's to ensure the notarization is accurate. But let's look at Caleb's reader. If they are reading every line, they are going to blow past the 5:00 p.m. cutoff. Can't Caleb just summarize the document for them to speed it up? Hey, sire signer, this is just the deed of trust. It basically says if you don't pay, they take the house.
You have to be incredibly careful there. You patiently guide them, and you can perhaps state the general title or purpose of the document as permitted by your specific state law, but you must keep the momentum moving without offering legal advice.
And for me as conspiracy theorist, the rules are even more strict, right?
It's more strict. You answer only what the law explicitly permits you to answer. You do not offer opinions on the fairness of the loan terms.
Why is offering opinions so dangerous? If they say, do you think this 7% interest rate is a ripoff? Why can't I just agree with them to build rapport?
Because offering an opinion to a wary borrower can easily be construed as implying a promise or a commitment outside the scope of the transaction. If you tell them it's a bad rate, they might cancel the loan, and the lender will sue you for interfering with the contract. It borders on UPL, the unauthorized practice of law. You are a notary, not their financial advisor.
So instead of giving an opinion, what is the script?
You explain the rescission period if it applies to the transaction, giving them comfort that they have a federally protected legal window to review the documents with a lawyer and cancel if they choose.
And if that doesn't work?
If they still have deep reservations about the numbers or the clauses, you pause the signing and connect them directly with their loan officer or escrow agent via phone to answer the specific loan details.
Put the liability back on the lender. And if they still flat out refuse to sign?
You do not force it. You do not argue. You contact the hiring agency, like the Closer LLC, for example, immediately from the table to report the refusal, document it in your journal, pack up your supplies, and step away professionally.
Perfect. Scenario 2 comes from Wyatt in Montana. Wyatt wants to know about the professional boundaries regarding food. Specifically, he feels awkward about declining food at residential signings, and he wants to know if he should be bringing food to his marketing meetings with title companies.
It is a very human relational concern. Let's address the signing table first. The source material notes that treating signings as a friendly social event is actually perfectly fine, provided there is absolutely no negativity or drama brought to the table.
Right.
If a borrower offers you a cup of coffee, a glass of water, or a small snack, and accepting it builds rapport without delaying your 5:00 p.m. cutoff, it is highly acceptable. It humanizes the transaction.
But regarding marketing to title companies, I know some agents feel like bringing food is akin to a bribe or that it looks desperate.
The advice from the sources is incredibly pragmatic here. When you are doing direct marketing, Bringing donuts, cookies, or a small box of munchkins on your first visit is highly recommended.
Walk me through the psychology of that. Why donuts?
It may feel awkward to Wyatt at first, but you have to understand the reality of this industry. Title companies view independent signing agents as vendors. And in the corporate world, vendors traditionally bring treats. It invokes the psychological rule of reciprocity.
Ah, I see.
It is simply human nature to appreciate free snacks during a stressful workday. It establishes you as a thoughtful, appreciated partner right out of the gate, breaking the ice so you can hand them your professional card.
Don't overthink the psychology, Wyatt. Just bring the donuts. All right, scenario 3 is much heavier. This comes from Grace in Idaho. Grace walked into a house for a routine signing, and the family members were actively screaming at each other over the documents. It was a highly volatile, aggressive environment.
This touches on the darkest, most difficult reality of this profession. Real estate transactions involve massive amounts of money, which can occasionally expose severe family disputes, elder abuse or third-party coercion, divorces, inheritance issues, foreclosure stress. These scenarios bring out intense, sometimes dangerous emotions.
And the notary is suddenly dropped right into the middle of it. How are you supposed to act?
The notary must act as a calm, immovable, neutral buffer. You cannot take sides, you cannot play therapist, and you cannot show emotion. You speak calmly and clearly, showing basic professional empathy without getting involved in the narrative of their argument.
But Grace needs to know the legal protocol here. What is her actual obligation when people are screaming about who gets the money?
The legal obligation is paramount and supersedes everything else. The notary must verify that the signer is acting voluntarily and is fully aware of the nature of the transaction. In Grace's situation, the protocol is to immediately separate the primary signer from the screaming family members.
Okay, get them alone.
Yes. You politely but firmly ask to take the signer into a separate room, like a kitchen or home office, to confirm their willingness to proceed privately, away from the pressure.
You have to ensure they are mentally aware, not under the influence of medications or alcohol, and most importantly, not being intimidated into signing away their rights. If Grace gets them alone, assesses the situation, and identifies active coercion, impairment, or a lack of proper ID, what is the mandate? Can she just say, well, it's not my problem, and stamp it anyway?
Absolutely not. The mandate is absolute. You must refuse the signing. You note the exact objective circumstances in your journal. You notify the contracting title company immediately so they are aware of the fraud risk, and you leave the premises. You are a public official. You are the gatekeeper protecting the public interest against coercion.
That is a heavy responsibility, and it goes without saying, but the sources emphasize this too. Never, ever bring your own personal drama or negativity to the signing table, no matter what you are going through in your own life. Professionalism above all else. Okay, our final scenario, scenario 4, comes from Luke in New Mexico.
Let's hear it.
Luke writes that he has a new partner he is dating. He does a lot of long-distance rural driving for his EOM signings, and he wants to know if his date can ride along in the car and sit in on his closings just to keep him company during the long drives.
That is a definitive, hard, non-negotiable no.
I would say it's a radioactive no, but explain why to Luke. He might just think, hey, my partner is quiet, they'll just sit in the corner and read a book. What's the harm?
The harm is a massive violation of federal and state privacy laws. Taking strangers with you to a signing exposes a borrower's private residential address, their personal contact information, and their highly sensitive financial documents, tax returns, bank statements, social security numbers, to an unauthorized third party.
Even if you ask the signer for permission at the door, hey, do you mind if my date sits in? It doesn't matter, right?
It does not matter. It is a severe breach of consumer privacy laws, akin to the Grand-Leach-Bliley Act standards that govern financial data. If a title company, a lender, or a signing service finds out you are bringing dates, friends, or unauthorized family members to a closing, they will instantly terminate their relationship with you.
Wow.
You become a massive liability to their business. Leave the date at home, Luke. Your car is your mobile office. Treat it with the same security as a bank vault.
Those scenarios are fantastic. They really highlight the messy intersection of logistics, psychology, and legal liability that high-level agents navigate every single day.
They absolutely do. It is a daily tightrope walk, and it requires immense preparation.
It really does. And as we wrap up this intense look at the end-of-month madness, we want to leave you, the listener, with a final provocative thought to mull over before your next appointment.
We spend so much time discussing the stress, the ticking clock, the gridlock traffic, and the absolute chaos of the EOM rush. It is easy to view it as the worst part of the job. But what if we reframe it entirely? What if the dreaded end-of-month rush isn't a burden at all, but rather the ultimate filter for the industry?
I absolutely love this perspective. It is the crucible. The chaos of those final 5 days burns away the amateurs. It exposes the agents who aren't using CRM software, who aren't geographically routing their days to avoid traffic, who don't have dual-tray laser printers powered by lithium stations in their cars, and who panic at the table when a borrower gets chatty or hostile.
Exactly. The EOM rush breaks the unprepared. And when the smoke clears on the first of the next month, the only people left standing are the highly organized, technology-enabled professional doers. And those are the agents who claim the premium clients, build the unbreakable title relationships, and command the premium fees. The chaos is not your enemy. The chaos is your greatest competitive advantage if you're prepared for it.
That is an incredibly powerful takeaway. Embrace the crucible. Use the tools we discussed today, build your infrastructure, and master the table. If you have situations, debates, or questions you want us to analyze in future segments, email your questions to Derrick at derrickspruill.com. We will try to answer as soon as possible at the end of our shows.
We always look forward to hearing from the community and dissecting those real-world scenarios.
Absolutely. And now for our credits. Exec producer Derrick Spruill, lead writer Marylyn Trotter, graphics Montes Travis, music Thomas Bynum, produced by Magnificent Workz Business Solutions. Don't just be listeners of the knowledge, be doers of the knowledge. This is Notary Knowledge. Until next time.
Are you an aspiring notary looking to join millions of other notaries? Start your journey with the Notary Public Foundation by Derrick Spruill. This essential guide provides the step-by-step process to becoming commissioned in your state. Don't stumble into the role. Walk into it with confidence. Grab your copy of the Notary Public Foundation by Derrick Spruill on Amazon today.